Well, welcome to a brand new episode of Win TV. I am your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer. And as you all know, we're still trying to figure out a new title for this show. So we haven't heard from you, but we want you to feel free to give us some recommendations. You can email us at news, at washingtoninformer.com. You know, Chevy, my dad used to have a column that ran in the paper for many years called Let's Talk. I'm thinking maybe we can do that, because not only will do you all talk with me, but you also talk with members of our staff who you'll see on today's show. We bring you quite an exciting show. But before I talk about that, let me just say that I hope you picked up a copy of this week's Washington Informer. We always like to show the news edition, the paper edition. We are still printing. So you can pick up copies of the Informer at newsstands throughout the DMV if you happen to be in the DC, Maryland, or Virginia area. But otherwise, you can also read the digital edition online at washingtoninformer.com. Also, I want you to check out this month's Bridge, The Bridge. Oops, that's it. Can you see that? Okay. Yeah, this month's issue of The Bridge. And it was curated by Claudia Watts, was a former editor of the Bridge, and she works with the publisher of the Bridge, Lafayette Barnes, as you know, is my son, but it's a publication that publishes monthly, targeting the millennial community in the DMV and elsewhere. And so this month, the issue is what Claudia calls an ode to summer. The issue uses poetry and photographs of 9 local photographers. And Watts says in her opening statement, "May these pages warm you with nostalgia." So they're fantastic photographs, little poetry that's involved, and it's a creative issue. So it's a little different than Informer, but it's supposed to be because it's for a different audience. But, if you pick up a copy of the Informer, you'll get both. So I hope you'll do that and enjoy it. Again, check out the paper, which is on newsstands. We're about in a little over 600 locations. We've just extended down to Charles County in Maryland. So for those of you down there, you can pick up a copy, or I shouldn't say down, because that's east of us. So those of us who over there, if you want to pick up a copy of the Informer, there's some locations near you. We want you to do us a favor and share this broadcast with your social media audience, and follow us on social media, because we're on all the platforms: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Not doing as much on LinkedIn, but we'll be doing a lot more. So we want you to follow us on those channels, and be sure to share it with your friends, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Washington Informer TV. That's one word, Washington Informer TV. We're trying to reach that 1,000 mark of 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So you can help us get there. We're about maybe a little over 300 shy of that number. But we certainly would like for you to be one of the members of the Win TV family, and part of the Let's Talk community. I'm trying to claim that title, Chevy. The Let's Talk community. So we hope that you will be a part of the program. I want you to also recognize, those of you all who've been following the news probably are saddened and excited about the new Emmett Till National Monument that was dedicated by, or at least the legislation went in place with President Joe Biden earlier this week. Many in the civil rights community were there at the White House, including our very own Stacey Brown, who wrote a story in this week's Informer. Vice President Kamala Harris spoke, and the cousin of Emmett Till, who was with him when he was pulled from that house in Money, Mississippi, before those 2 white supremacists, those racist white men, pulled Emmett from his uncle's home, murdered him, and then as a result of him whistling at a white woman who later said she lied. But the point is, the civil rights movement, many say, was launched from that day when Emmett's mother, Mamie Till, decided that she wanted the nation to see what racism and hatred looked like by having an open casket at Emmett's funeral. And so, that's one reason why I love the phrase of our Reverend Jesse Jackson, who says, "Keep hope alive." Emmett's death was not in vain. Mamie Till's work to make sure that her son's death was not in vain has now proven to be something that America will have to face consistently because of the monuments, not only in Mississippi, but also in Chicago, the church where Emmett's funeral was held. So we are very happy. Very happy that this occurred. And, I don't care what folks try to do across this country, you cannot erase Black history. We're not going to let it happen. So, speaking of Black history, you may also know that Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes III, pastor of Friendship West Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas, has been named the successor of Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Jr. For the Rainbow Push Coalition, as president of the Rainbow Push Coalition. And we had a live conversation with Dr. Haynes earlier this week. Hopefully you've had a chance to see that. It is still on our YouTube channel. And Dr. Haynes gave us all of what he hopes will be a new direction and a collaboration of all the civil rights organizations for Rainbow Push, but also for civil rights in this country. We're coming up on the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington on August the 26th here in DC, being led by Reverend Al Sharpton. You'll hear more about that in the coming days. But I think it will be probably one of the biggest marches we've seen in years. And those of us who are in Washington, I wasn't there at the 63 March on Washington, but I was there for the 20th March, the 25th March, the 30th, and all in between, except I think last year's I may have missed. But at any rate, this is the 60th March on Washington. And I would guarantee that representatives from every civil rights organization who we may have felt, have been quiet and not doing a whole lot, will be here to talk about how they are going to reassert the movement, because the Black community needs that leadership. We've missed it for a long time. And Dr. Haynes is really talking about how through Rainbow Push, he hopes that all the organizations will now be able to collaborate, even the U.S. Black Chamber, the business community, because that's one of the things that Reverend Jackson talked about. He always talked about civil rights, not civil rights, but silver rights. And Dr. Haynes says that he will continue that legacy as the leader. And we're blessed that Reverend Jackson is still with us. So he's got leadership from Reverend Jackson as well. Speaking of good news, you all may know I have a son. I have two sons, but I have one of my sons, Desmond Barnes, created something called Heart of the City Candles. And of all teams, of all organizations, the Washington Commanders football team has cited Heart of the City Candles as one of the Black-owned businesses in the DMV that they want to feature. So if you've been to any games, you may see the Black pop-ups that they're doing with Black-owned businesses. Heart of the City Candles is there, but it's also going to be featured this weekend, tomorrow, as a matter of fact, showcased during the Commanders training camp at their Shop Black Market, along with 8 other Black-owned businesses. That's going to happen until August the 19th. The training camp open practice tickets are free, and you can get them at that's probably going to be posted at the bottom of the screen. But we've also listed, in addition to Heart of the City Candles, some of the other Black-owned businesses that the Washington Commanders, under new leadership, will be showcasing. The Naked Face, man. I can't read those words, Sherry. So I hope that you can. But anyway, shop herbs and spices. You see the list there. And so if you're going to the Commander's practice this weekend or through August the 19th, these are the businesses that will be featured. So congratulations to all of them, especially to Desmond with Heart of the City Candles. I'm very proud of what he's been doing. So let's move on. For our program today, our first segment is sponsored by the DC Department of Behavioral Health. That department has worked with us, or we're working with them, because they believe people can recover from mental health and substance disorders. So joining us from the department is Trina Logan, the Director of Consumer and Family Affairs. Our managing editor, Misha Green, will be coming to us live from the restaurant Flavor Tour. I hope I said that right, or Flavor Tour, with Chef Mac, whose business is one of the restaurants that will be featured at the City Taste of Tennis, part of the City Open that's coming. That's going to be exciting, the tennis championships here. So, but City Taste of Tennis is part of one of the events that's part of that program, and Misha will be there with Chef Mac. And also joining them will be Crystal Freeman, an account executive from AYS, the company that created and produces City Taste of Tennis. Dr. Omakongo Dibinga, an expert in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and race and politics, will be talking to our reporter, Brenda Seiler, about his book, Lies About Black People. Brenda will also be talking to Tobias A. Young, a performer in Signature Theater's Cabaret Disco Fever. And that show runs until August the 13th at Signature's Art Theater. But Brenda's going to give you all the details on that. And so we look forward to both of those interviews following my conversation with the Department of Behavioral Health. But before we go there, let's hear from our weekly newscast from Curtis Knowles.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser announced Pamela A. Smith as the Metropolitan Police Department's next chief of police on Monday, July 17th. Smith will serve in the capacity of acting chief until confirmed by the D.C. Council. Previously, Smith had served as the chief of police for the U.S. Park Police and worked in its field offices in San Francisco, New York, Atlanta, and the district during her 25-year career. And she was the first black woman to lead the Park Police in its 230-year history. D.C. Councilmember Brooke Pinto commented saying, quote, Acting Chief Smith brings to this nomination a wide breadth of experience from a diversity of jurisdictions across the country, as well as an intimate knowledge of our city. A piece of Maryland and Black history is teetering on the edge of foreclosure, a home in Harford County, Maryland that holds major significance. Once a refuge for the Freedom Riders, a group of activists who challenge segregation on buses and at bus terminals, the historical dwelling currently serves as the residence of prominent civil rights leader Janice Grant. Grant, the former Harford County NAACP chapter president, helped pave the way for African Americans to exercise their right to vote in the states. Sadly, her historic and cherished abode, encapsulating decades of rich history, may soon slip away if she can't raise $50,000 by the end of July. As of the latest update to the community-led GoFundMe, there has been $16,000 raised towards the needed $50,000. Grant commented saying, quote, I want young people to know their history, because it is such a rich history, and it would be such a loss if the house was to be foreclosed. Checkpoint Technologies, one of the largest cybersecurity firms in the country, has reported a substantial increase in AI-based scams and attacks compared to the previous year. According to the FBI Internet Complaint Center, phone and cyber scams drained approximately $10 billion from American pockets in 2022. Rapid advancements in generative AI technology by companies like OpenAI and Midjourney have forced organizations to grapple with how to harness the potential of the technology while addressing concerns about the ease with which users can manipulate language, audio, and video.
Thank you, Curtis. Always great having those bits of news coming from you. And now it's my pleasure to bring on Trina Logan, who is the Director of Consumer and Family Affairs at the DC Department of Behavioral Health. Trina, welcome to WIN TV.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, you know, it's, I have to say, this morning as I was, did my crazy. You might think I might need a little mental health therapy because I went for a walk this morning at Anacostia Park in this heat and didn't realize how hot it was. But fortunately, I hydrated quite a bit. But on my way up Good Hope Road, I think there are a couple of places there where, people who are struggling with drug addiction, are getting services. And there were so many people out there. So I know why you all are working really hard to make sure that your services are being reached by those who need it. But tell us a
Absolutely.
little bit about your role at the Department of Behavioral Health.
Okay. I am the Director of Consumer and Family Affairs at DBH. Our department is keen on making sure that people's rights, people who access behavioral health services rights, are protected. We do advocacy, and we look at the whole person and the family. We understand that recovery, whether it's substance use disorder or mental health issues, is a family issue as well. So we try to make sure that we provide community education series, surveying, and more than the biggest part of what we do, not that all aren't important, is providing training to certify peers to support people on their recovery journey. So that is a big part of what we do.
So that's amazing because when people are going, I would think, through this transition in their life, they've lived a certain lifestyle and now they're trying to regroup and get life together, and that can be a lonely journey, it would seem. So
Absolutely.
tell me what it means to be a peer and what role do they play in the person who's seeking recovery.
The grandest piece of peer support is a peer is a person with lived experience.
Mm.
So that means that that person has been on their own personal recovery journey. And because of that, they are able to step in and provide supports that are non-clinical, non-reciprocal, but able to show up for a person who is now embarking on their journey to help them, first of all, understand that they're not alone, that they can customize a journey that is person-centered and important for them, for their recovery. It is not a relationship that says, because I did this on my recovery journey, you do this as well. But it is to help that person actualize those individual desires about their own recovery and access services and supports on a grand scale. It sometimes is a big part of the clinical team, the peer support services that peers can provide to help people who are newer on their journey or in the process of their recovery journey, to kind of understand what some of the things being communicated that may not be easy for them to understand coming from the clinical team. It is not to help them make those what the choices are, what their particular choices will be, but it is to help them understand what their choices are so that they can make informed choices about their journey. And it could be as simple as linking them to services in the community, helping them access transportation and understanding what that is. So peer supports run a gamut of supports that kind of can mimic clinical, but they're not. Let me make sure I say that clearly, but also kind of natural supports that they aren't either, but help people get that foundation, that understanding, that direction, and to be able to get on their journey in a way that works well for them and that they can appreciate, and that is self-directed.
So how can a person in recovery access or build this relationship? Where would they find this peer uh, this peer? Where would they
Peer,
access?
yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. So the peer supports are flooding our city in different aspects. We have peers who are certified peer specialists who are in shelters. They are in hospital. They're in providers throughout the city who are providing behavioral health support, SUD supports. You can find peers in peer operated centers throughout the city, and they are there on staff ready. We are actually opening up a new sobering center. DBH is very soon, and we're actually going to have peers there. So, um, again, if someone comes into an emergency room for example, peers on staff, they are able to kind of uh, step in to support that person and kind of help them walk through what things are to kind of expect there, and um, maybe help them link to services upon discharge.
I don't want to run past the point that you just made a few minutes ago, which was interesting, that you're opening up a new sobering center. How does
Yes.
that, what is that and how does it operate?
Right. So I am not a part of the immediate team that is responsible for that. I have
Hmm.
helped in the recruitment of peer support services, but
Okay.
I will just say people can, I'm sure, access our website as information becomes available to get specifics, and that website is dbh.dc.gov. However, I'll just share briefly that the sobering center is hopefully going to provide some relief to people who don't necessarily may need hospitalization but can be triaged in that environment. But it can loosen up, minimize some of the crowding maybe in some of our hospitals, where
Mm.
people can go get kind of triaged and maybe linked to services in the community if they want to continue on a recovery journey, that kind of thing. So it is a center that where we want people who don't have to, who are not in a necessarily 911 crisis situation or need immediate intensive behavioral health support, that we can help them sober up or calm down,
Mm.
and
Okay.
get to a baseline where we can help them if they want connected services, and be there for the community, and hopefully continue our journey to encourage people that recovery is possible.
So how can one become a peer?
So there are several ways, but that people can become peers. There are different programs that train, but with DBH, my division at DBH, we are responsible. We oversee the peer certification training program. People can apply to the program when classes are available. Again, they can access our website to see the schedule of classes as they are updated. Once if people apply, they are granted an interview, and should they meet the pre-qualifying the requirements, and those things are listed on our website. And then they go through, if they're accepted, they are in the class. They go through 70 hours of coursework, 80 hours of practicum work, that's like in the field, kind of working in a provider agency, really kind of more hands-on with people, and they do that for 80 hours. And then they move on to certification after passing an exam. We also offer uh, somewhat, I guess, for lack of better terms, reciprocity for people who may have been certified in another state or jurisdiction
Mm.
who would
Okay.
like to be certified in DC. We offer a waiver, and if they meet those qualifications, they can appeal to us or apply with us for the waiver and become certified that way. The one additional thing I'll add to that is our peers, once certified, are required to do a certain number of hours, 20 hours biannually, of wellness and development in their craft, so that they stay cutting edge, and understand changes that are happening. And so they are required to recertify every 2 years and show evidence of that.
So we're kind of running out of time, but two
Okay.
questions I have for you. Well, actually three, so if we can get them in really quickly
Okay.
in the next minute or so. But one, does it cost to have a peer? And two, do peers get paid for being peers?
So peers can be, yes, when they are hired at different provider agencies, hospitals, and the like, yes, they are compensated. This is a job. This is not a free service. In terms of the training with DBH right now, there is no cost for our training. And that is very unique because that is not the case in most training, peer certification
Mhm.
trainings throughout the country.
And for those who are want a peer, they're not paying for that. That's a free service for those who person in recovery who
That is
accesses a peer.
that
That's
that is correct. That is
right,
correct.
right. And I guess lastly, I always like to know. One of my reporters is kind of like this, but this is it's a great service. It provides a lot, but I mean, sometimes we often want to hear what difference does it make? And I don't know if you have an anecdote, a story, or something you can just share with us briefly that shows kind of what difference having a peer has made in the life of. They can't use names or whatever specifics, but
Of
what has it
course.
meant for some of the clients who've accessed the peer?
I am going there are a lot of personal stories. There is one young lady who is she's my senior who was dealing with substance use disorder for many years. She's probably about 20 years in recovery. This young lady has headed up her own organization at some points to help people, young girls who have been trafficked. And she was very instrumental in getting legislation changed to stop incarcerated women from being restrained when who were pregnant, being restrained during childbirth, and really making great differences in the lives of people. I know we're wrapping up, but the other piece is every class that we of peers that we certify. I talk to the class, the members before and after each class, and during too, but really ask them about the difference in the stories. Usually I'm in tears because I see the growth just in that process. And I hear the stories often about having gone through our training and the experiences and the value and the skills that people walk away with and are walking away confident in their own continued recovery journey, and that they are confident that they can help others.
Well, that's really good news. I am so, I guess, excited and proud that DBH, is asking us to help to get the word out about the programs that you all are involved with. We're going to post up the website and other information again for those who are who may need a peer or who want to become a peer, to go to that website. And my last question is there an age requirement for either the one who needs the peer or the one who wants to be a peer? Is it all adults, or are there anyone
No.
under the age of 18?
Right. So we do 18 is in terms of the minimum for the age requirement to be trained.
Hmm.
There is no requirement of who we can help in terms
Okay.
of age. Yes.
Wow. Wow. Wonderful. Well, Trina Logan, thank you so very much for being
Thank
with us
you.
today. Keep up the great work, and we're here to keep helping to get that word out so that we can have a really healthy community. And DBH, I think, is doing its role to make sure that that happens. So thanks for
We
being with us.
thank you. We appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Okay. All
Um,
righty.
yeah.
So keep that in mind. I know that every one of us in our households or in our communities know people that probably could utilize that service. So I hope that you got that information. You can also look at the show later on YouTube and get that information again so that we can do our part to make this a healthier community. So now, as I talked about earlier, City Open starts this weekend. And last week, I talked to you about the City Taste of Tennis. So today, our managing editor, Misha Green, is live at Flavouture with Chef Mac, who will be sharing some of his favorite meals, his cuisine that will be featured during the City Taste of Tennis. Hey, Misha.
Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here live on location at Flavouture. And first of all, I get to chat with Crystal Freeman of AYS Sports Marketing, they are the producers for the City Taste of Tennis.
Yes.
Got to get it all out. City Taste of Tennis, which is the kickoff of the awesome City Open, and this is the DC one. Let's get it right. Which is from July 30th to August 7th. But we're here to talk about the Taste of Tennis, which I am ecstatic about. So, Crystal, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Now, I know that you all have been working really hard to bring the City Taste of Tennis to multiple cities around the country, but we're super excited because you're here in the nation's capital.
Yes, we are.
Tell us a little bit about the City Taste of Tennis, what it is, and how folks can tap in here in DC.
Yes, no, absolutely. Thanks again for having me. Yes, the City Taste of Tennis is a global lifestyle event that precedes the major tennis tournaments around the world. So we are in DC this week to kick off the Mubadala City DC Open. So we're the official player party, the City Taste of Tennis is of that. And we're excited for that. So we try and bring the best of the best culinary talent in the locales where we are, and marry that with the tennis players who are participating in the tournament during that week. So that's what we're doing here in DC. Plus, we're sprinkling it with a little of the live entertainment flavor and some signature cocktails from our partners. But we could only do this with our partners, and City is our presenting one, our title sponsor. So we're very grateful for that, but excited to be here in DC.
Well, we're excited to have you. It's at La Vie this coming Sunday, July 30th from 7 to 10. And as you talked about, there are a lot of local flavors, a lot of local chefs and mixologists that we'll be able to tap into. Can you tell us a little bit about what we can expect this year at La Vie?
Yes, absolutely. We will have that star power of chefs. Flavouture being one of them, sure, with Chef Mac and Chef Pinky. We're very excited about that. They participated last year too. So we kind of keep the good ones, to keep coming back. So we're happy for that. So just from the door, you're gonna just be wowed by the ambiance and everything of the site, the venue with La Vie, and you'll get smacked in the nose with the lovely flavors the chefs will be preparing right there. So it's a really good atmosphere just to get up close and personal with the chefs that you don't necessarily see when you're dining in their restaurants. So you get to know them a little bit better that way. But also while you're moving across, the layout to different stations to taste the lovely food, you could bump into some of the tennis players who are participating in the tournament this year. So that's like a unique thing for sure. So definitely keep your eyes open, like when you come. And then don't forget the libations that you could have. We're having some espresso martinis with Segafredo coffee. Voss, they're going to do some bling bling stuff with some bedazzling.
So, because the bottle is already quite fancy. There's going to be more bling.
Yes, the bedazzle. It will be bedazzled. It will.
Truly bedazzled Voss.
Right.
Oh, I have to see this.
Yes, no, for sure. And we have some Caribbean flavors too coming in with St. Lucia Tourism Authority. They're going to be here in Barbados also, and we have Zonin. So if anybody wants a little bit of bubbly, we can do that. We have hosts that night too, so we'll be keeping us in line, and we like the players to feel at home. So our host is Nick Monroe. He's a former player and coach, and he's on the Tennis Channel. Love Nick, so he'll be there too.
So, I love that it gives people the opportunity to interface with the tennis players, see the kind of foods they like, and some of the things that get them excited before a full week of playing and really showing us their gifts and talents and sharing it with the people here in DC at the City Open here. But my question is, how do we get the marriage that we have here of food and sports? It seems so perfect, but where did that idea come from and how do we see it play out on Sunday?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Taste of Tennis has been around for almost 25 years now. When it first started, it was a local professional tournament came to us and was looking to jazz up the player party. So through much think tanks that we had, we were like, what do players like? What do they need? They need some good food to like fuel their body so they can perform well. And they don't have time when they're in the locales to like scout out the right places and everything. So long story short, we kept thinking about that. We were like, taste tennis, and then Taste of Tennis was like born. But yeah, like lovely partners like City now, so it's a City Taste of Tennis, our presenting sponsor, title sponsor. So that's how it is. But we want the players to feel at home in the locales where they are. So we're here, and that's why we capitalize on the local talent. We have Chef Kevin Tien, who's our headline chef. He will be speaking, doing a fireside chat with Jessica Pegula, who's the number one, who's at like the top 5 tennis players in the world right now in doubles and singles, the number 1 ranked American player. So that's good. And we've had Francis Tiafoe, who obviously is in the area,
Yes.
and Christopher Eubanks, frequents our events too. So that's how we kind of married it. The players love the food and everything like that. We're just giving them a shortcut to find out where the best places to go in the areas.
And for me, I think of all of the amazing folks like you out there who might be going to just get all of this amazing food and tap in before this week-long tournament. It seems like a great opportunity for folks to learn about food in their locales. Have you all seen that as you go from different cities where guests have sometimes not been to some of the restaurants You're introducing?
Yes, for sure. Especially because there's new restaurants popping up all the time, but then we kind of get comfortable in our routines, that this is like our hometown.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily venture out a little bit, but yes, that's why we pick people, the chefs in different areas. So, we have Chef John Mooney, who's been with us for a while. He's in Bidwell, so he's in Union Market. We have Chef Shayla, and she's with Castile and Rendezvous in a different location, and then here, with Flavoriture and everything. So it's really a focus of ours.
Yeah.
To just try to bring the community together in this lovely event. It's really like laid back. I mean, you don't see the tennis players necessarily in this environment and everything, and even the chefs. They like to network, at like a nice event where they don't have to be like on, like it's a business thing, they can like let their hair down a little bit here. So that's how we put it together.
Oh, this is so exciting. The City Taste of Tennis, July 30th at La Vie from 7 to 10 p.m. You get a great view. You get a wonderful, wonderful food and drinks. You maybe get to interface with some of your favorite tennis stars as well as chefs in the area. Before kicking off the Mubadala City Open from July 30th to August 7th. Oh my gosh, I tried to pack in so much information, y'all, but you know what we're also here to do? Let's taste some food. How's that sound? Okay, so I'm letting our producer know I am taking the trek across the restaurant here at Flavoriture in the Woodley Park area. Go ahead across. And yay, we made it. Here with Chef Mac. Now I'm also going to try to go on my iPad to try to get you all some up close and personal views of this food. But as we get the technology going, Chef Mac, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Excited to be on the show. Excited to be a part of the event on Sunday. Excited for you guys to be here.
I am more than excited that you have us here today. Chef Mac is the owner and head chef here at Flavorture in the Woodley Park neighborhood. You all have to come and check it out. It is a beautiful location, great ambiance, and it's looking like amazing food. Thank you so much. How long have you all been here?
We did our grand opening in February, so it's coming up approaching 6 months. We're now half a year mark as the first black-owned restaurant in Woodley Park. So we've been making strides to try to get people in, enjoy the food, and meet people, and be able to bring the community in, and be able to bring an atmosphere and a dining experience that hasn't existed here in about 20 years.
Well, we are so happy that you're here and not only giving the community some amazing food, but also tapping in to the larger community in DC as well as the sports community this Sunday at the City Taste of Tennis. And y'all, I hope that you can see how on brand Chef Mac is with his City Taste of Tennis swag. But tell us a little bit about why Flavorture is tapping in. I know this is your second year, but tell us a little bit about how you got involved before we get into this long-awaited.
So we got involved last year. Crystal reached out, because we were one of the up-and-coming restaurants here in Woodley Park. They actually did it at a location that was walking distance from our up-and-coming opening restaurant, and it was the best.
Nisha and Chef,
Yeah.
we're having a bit of a problem hearing Chef. So if we can kind of get him to either.
Yeah, what I'm going to do actually is now put him here on the iPad. I love that our One TV family.
Oh, yeah, this is great. So, this is
So I'm
live
muting
TV.
here.
So, okay. Oh, Lordy. So it sounds like we have lost you all together. We can't hear any sound. And so we're having a little technical difficulty here.
Wait. No.
There you go. Kind of.
Yeah, I was going to say, Shelby has to bring us into location. So we're here and ready. Okay, there we go. So
All right.
You can't hear me. I mean, you can't see me, but you can talk to Chef Mac. There we go.
So
Okay.
this is our second year at Taste of Tennis, and we were brought in with the help of Crystal. We were one of the newest restaurants here in Woodley Park, which is directly across the street from the old location. So we had opportunity to network and meet a lot of great chefs and restaurants and people who were traveling across the globe for tennis and just entrepreneurs. Wine tasting. We had amazing wine tasting and wine bottles last year, so we're excited to be able to be offered and invited back this year. So we're looking forward to being down at the wharf at La Vie, which is a beautiful location sitting over top of the water. So we're just here to be able to communicate and be able to commune with the community.
Yes, well, we're so incredibly thankful. I'm going to go ahead and put, actually, no, I don't need the mic on. Y'all can see me here, and then we can go here. Tell us a little bit about some of the food that folks can taste at the City Taste of Tennis this year from Flavorture.
So we're doing two items this year to Taste of Tennis. One is our short rib sliders. It's a beef short rib sliders, about a 12-hour braise on a short rib slider. It has a nice cabbage slaw with a deep fried pickled red onion. And then the other is a vegan. It's a vegan option. We have a vegan egg roll, which is a plant-based vegan ground. We have a sesame ginger cabbage slaw, and then we have a vegan Thai chili sauce over top. So those are the two items we'll be featuring on Sunday. I mean, alongside of everything else that we have here, those are the two things that we're going to be featuring this Sunday.
Okay, so y'all know I'm very excited to taste some of the flavors that you're going to have on Sunday, but Chef Mac, it looks like you brought out the whole kitchen. Is this? I'm just so amazed. Tell us a little bit about some of the other menu items here at Flavorture.
So some of the other items here, we just brought out some of our staples, some of our fan favorites. We have a grilled lobster scampi, which is one of our favorites. It's a seafood-based dish. We have our
I need to make sure that the folks can see that beauty. Oh, my goodness.
So we have an 8-ounce lobster tail over top of 4 ounces of jumbo lump blue crab meat. That's inside of there. And then to the right of that, we have our grilled rosemary lamb chops. These are marinated and braised for 72 hours before it ever hits your table. So before we ever cook them, we marinate them for 72 hours to be able to engulf the most flavor we can. Over here to the right, I don't know how many people actually enjoy oysters, but these are Chesapeake oysters without Cajun garlic butter cream sauce underneath with jumbo lump crab over top. So, we're trying to provide the most dishes we can to be able to provide the neighborhood with options they never had before. So.
Awesome. Well, I think it's time to do some taste testing. So I'll let our producer know that you can come back on our other camera. And I am going to mute on here. Okay, we are back. I hope that you all can hear me. We don't want the too much feedback, we'll say. But also you don't want to hear me chewing because I'm about to go in. Chef Mac, where should I start? Should I start with Sunday's flavors? Or
start with Sunday's flavors.
Okay. All right.
So Misha, we want to see you really get. We don't want to see you really get down. We want to give you the chance to really get down. You go ahead and take that first bite. We're going to let you have fun enjoying that food. We're going to jump on over to Brenda Seiler and our other guests, and we're going to come back, and as long as you don't belch in our ears, we're good. All right. I think I'm going to have to check them out. Hey, Brenda, might have to check them out like really soon. I wasn't aware, like Misha said, of Flavouture. So I'm looking forward to going by and testing some of that food that she's testing.
Exactly. And I love what Crystal said about the city taste of tennis. You need to come by and get smacked by flavors. So,
love it.
Okay.
Love it. Okay. Well, I'm turning it over to you now.
Thank you, Denise, and thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'm Brenda Seiler, lifestyle writer at the Washington Informer, and we are so happy to have with us Dr. Omekongo Dibinga. He is a professor, a lecturer at American University of Intercultural Communications. He's an old friend of ours here at the Washington Informer, and also he and his wife own 3 hot yoga studios in the DMV, but I don't think we need to be in the studio today. We can just do it outside, can't we?
Absolutely. Why not? It's probably hotter.
Dr. Dibinga is here to talk to us about his latest book. It's called Lies About Black People: How to Combat Racist Stereotypes and Why It Matters. It's already been well received in a number of lists. And yeah, let's get down and talk about it. Tell us what motivated you to write this book.
First of all, thanks for having me on, and your all's continued support for everything that I've been doing, my wife and I have been doing in the community. It's always appreciative. I wrote the book because there were a lot of people who are coming out of the Black Lives Matter movement. It's still an ongoing movement, of course, but the high fervor of 2020 and 2021 after George Floyd was murdered, and people were looking for a deeper dive into issues and situations in history. And so I wrote the book to let people know that with all of these issues that are going on, we have to really inform ourselves about the stereotypes and the lies behind what's going on today so we can better combat it. So you can't talk about things like critical race theory activism without understanding the history. You can't talk about racism in housing or banking and other places without understanding the history. When you understand the history, you understand that it's not that Black people are bad at these things. It was about denied opportunities, laws written on the books that prevented us from reaching our greatness. But with all of those issues, we fought every day, just like we're fighting now. So it's a book to arm people with real information in the fight.
And you're right, we're still fighting now because look at what we're hearing in the news with policies that are being implemented state by state. We've heard what's been happening in Florida and in other states. We know about banning of books. So talk about what we have been bombarded with and what we can do to deal with that.
Well, one of the things we have to do, and I talk about in the book, we have to really develop our racialized vocabulary. We have to understand what we're saying. When you political rule number 1, when you're using the enemy's opponent's language, or using your opponent's language, your opponent is winning. And so, for example, in Florida, when they talk about, you can't teach critical race theory and the like, critical race theory is not being taught in K-12 schools. That's a law school course.
Not even for every law school student. But do those of us who are fighting to have our history taught in schools, do we know that? Or are we taking their language and using it in our fights? So one of the challenges is that if we don't get out there and arm ourselves with real information, we become as much a part of the problem as the solution. And so as Dr. King said, when it really comes down to it, when it comes to white liberals, for example, he said many see our freedom as like on an installment plan, like they only want to go but so far. And, but we have to all go farther to arm ourselves with information. Otherwise, we're just, doing their job for them with our own ignorance. We have to challenge the lies.
And what I have personally done in terms of not just highlighting what Blacks have done as being Black history, I say it's American history.
That's right.
This is another American history lesson. And I hope that we are in the fight in a way that we can say that with honesty and integrity. Talk about something that you and I chatted about in the pre-conversation. There are a lot of groups that are doing their part in terms of reminding us that we matter, that we are involved in everything. I look at what the NAACP has done in terms of putting a ban on travel to Florida, and the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated has moved their conference from Florida that was scheduled for next year, and they've moved it to Dallas. So talk about things that our groups are trying to do.
We're fighting every single day. There are parents who are starting to go back to these school board meetings and take back the meetings, and a multi-generational, multiracial, group of people, because like you said, they realize this is an American story. You have organizations, like you said, Alpha Phi Alpha, that are speaking up. You have people within organizations. I speak at a lot of corporations and schools. You have, lesser known names, people will never see on TV, who are speaking up within their organizations, using their employee resource groups to call attention to these issues. You have students who were out there protesting and walking out of classrooms who are in Pennsylvania, for example. There was a school district that had about several hundred books banned, and the students organized, all multiracial group of students organized to get those bans lifted. They were banning second grade books about Rosa Parks. They were banning books about, Malala, international Nobel Peace Prize winning activists. And so when people have the truth, when they learn the knowledge, they're speaking up. But what needs to happen, Brenda, is that we all need to come together. We can't just have people fighting in this pocket, people fighting in this state and this company. When we coalesce like these other groups are doing, like these Moms for Liberties and Proud Boys, and how they're coming together to attack school board meetings and the like, when we come together and show that we are a real force, that's how we're going to win. We've done it in this society before, and we have to do it again now for the sake of our future.
The march continues, the struggle continues. I love it that our kids are walking out and protesting books being banned. I love that the American Library Association has a banned book week where they bring out the books that are banned. So families can come to the library and see what is going on and check out these books. So this is wonderful. You're right. Next month is the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington. I know they're going to be tackling these issues. And I want to encourage people to get your book, Lies About Black People, How to Combat Racist Stereotypes and Why It Matters. And how can people get your book?
Well, they can go to liesaboutblackpeople.com. In the book, I have interviews when I interview other people on the anti-racist journey. You can fill out your survey and share your information there. But it's everywhere books are sold. Amazon, Barnes & Noble's #1 bestseller on Amazon. Wherever your local bookstores, please support them as well. Wherever you get your books, you can get this one. And join the website, subscribe to the YouTube, and find out about upcoming events in your area.
Audience, be motivated about what you can do, get educated about what you can do. And we thank Dr. Omikogo Dabinga for bringing this to our attention, and all the best to you and continued success with this book and everything else that you're doing.
Thank you so much. And thanks for the support.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
And now our next segment is going to be about the fever. We're not talking about this heat. We're talking about disco fever. It's a new cabaret that is being put on by Signature Theater. It's really their fifth it's the second of their fifth cabaret. I had the opportunity to go to the Soulful Divas cabaret last month, They've got the Men of Soul coming up next. It's called How Sweet It Is. They're going to be doing both sides now, a cabaret with the music of Joni Mitchell and Leonard Cohen. And then DC area's #1 musical theater talent, I think, Nova Payton, is going to be That's What Friends Are For, the music of Burt Bacharach. But we're going to talk about Disco Fever with one of the talented artists that's in it, Tobias Young. You've seen him around town in a number of musical theater performances. I've seen him in The Wiz at Ford's Theater. I've seen him in the Color Purple musical at Signature Theater. Welcome, Tobias. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited about this because I just remember being in the club during the disco era and the songs that I like. Tell me about putting this show together, and I want to make sure people know that this is being produced
This
by
show has been
Mark
an
G.
absolute
Meadows.
blast to put together. It really has.
Yes.
Us as a collaborative experience, we all got together a few weeks right before our rehearsal started. We all got on a Zoom meeting and we just started to throw out ideas of our favorite artists that we loved during the 70s, different songs that we kind of grew up listening to as children that our grandparents introduced us to. And then the next thing you know, we crafted one heck of a good show. And it is a good time.
Well, let me shout out some of the artists that they'll probably hear when people come to Signature Theater. It's Donna Summer, Gloria Gaynor, Diana Ross, the Bee Gees, and so many more. Boogie Wonderland, Earth, Wind, and Fire. So, It's Raining Men. I don't know if people know that was written by the band director that was on David Letterman's show. That's a major hit, and it's still a major hit.
Yes.
What was your favorite song from the disco era?
Honestly, I will definitely say The Boss was a song that I grew up listening to a lot. One of my favorite little stories to talk about it in regards to that song is my grandmother actually used to play that song every morning, Saturday morning, and that was our wake-up call to know it was time to start cleaning. And so that song will always hold like a very special place in my heart. So I love that we have that song in this show. It's absolutely fabulous.
I love you're telling us you had a 2-hip grandmama. So I love that story right there. I love that story. The setting for the cabarets that are produced by Mark G. Meadows is that you actually set up the theater like a club.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yes. So when you come in, we really do try to take you back in time. We have disco balls everywhere. I highly encourage people to come to the show ready to dance, ready to sing, ready to participate, be serenaded to, and just overall just have one good time. And just take, the next hour and 15 minutes and allow yourself to really be a part of the disco culture.
I hope you left enough space because I'm sure some people will be jumping out of the chairs and want to dance around.
We have all the space needed.
And talk about your career in theater and music theater in the DC area and other places. Talk about what your career has been like, because when you read your bio, you have done so much.
Thank you. I started off doing my first professional gig was actually at Toby's Dinner Theater back in, I think it was 2000 and either 10 or 11. And I did a lot of shows there. That's really where I kind of got my groundwork. And then I started branching off, and I've been very blessed and fortunate to work at Only Theater, Ford's Theater, now here at Signature Theater, doing co-pro productions with Roundhouse Theater. And it has really been a blast. And it's amazing for me to now be working at this theater, because when I was in high school, my first show seeing in the DMV was actually at Signature Theater. I'll never forget it. It was Kiss of the Spider Woman. And I remember me telling my friend at that time that one day I was going to work at this theater. And now, here we are. So it's been a whirlwind experience. And I feel like my career is really just starting to begin, although I've been doing it for so long.
Signature Theater is a theater that I like to call, they take risk. They have such a range of productions that they put on. When you said the first thing you saw there was Kiss of the Spider Woman, I saw that on Broadway with the wonderful Cheetah Rivera, who won a Tony Award for that. So I know that was fantastic. And when I saw The Color Purple there, which you were in, it was magnificent. The audience was just drawn in, and there's an intimacy about the theaters there at Signature where the audience is really a part of
Yes.
it, and you feel a part of it. And also, it's important for me to point out that right behind you, where the roses are, those are the shoes you are going to be wearing for Disco Fever. I am too scared of you.
Yeah, so you have got to come out to come see us. We are running here at Signature Theater in the Arc until literally August 13th, and I'm going to be rocking these bad boys every night for as long as I can. It is a real good time. We are really trying to take you guys back to the 70s.
Folks, go to the Signature Theater website. Disco Fever is there until August the 13th.
Yes.
Get ready to get your shoes and feet ready to
Yes.
dance and do more than just pat on the floor. You want to
Yes.
get up and shake your hands, get under
Yes.
the lights from the disco ball, and
Yes.
it'll be fabulous. Tobias, I'm excited to see the production. I'm coming there on Sunday, so I look forward to it.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for your thank you. And I am going to give it back to Denise, I believe.
Brenda, those were two fantastic interviews. I really enjoyed them both. Now, I mean, tonight, I think I know where I'm going to go for dinner. I've got to read Dr. Dibinga's book. Got to get that. And I know somebody in my house that would definitely enjoy that event. So the play that you just talked about, the Cabaret. So you got my itinerary full. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we covered a range, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And you did a great job. So we're going to jump back over to Misha to find out if she has, how she's been enjoying her meal there at Flavorature. Is Misha, you there?
I am so here, clearing the food out of my teeth. So apologies to all those if you see us doing it. We have had a blast here at Flavorature. First of all, I just want to say on camera how inspired and proud I am of Chef Mac, who I know every day is putting in this labor of love in order to bring food to the community. So thank you again, Chef Mac. Now I have to say his food. Whew. I'm so happy I worked out this morning. It is delicious. You can taste every single flavor he puts into the items on top of the love and care that's in every bit of the food. So y'all won't have this at Taste of Tennis, but you got to come back for the oysters. Oh my goodness, so delicious. I haven't tried the lobster pasta, it's lobster crab and other goodness, but I'm trying that in a second. But everything here has been so amazing. I have to tell you all, both Crystal and I said we wouldn't have started with the vegan egg rolls, and I mean, every single bit in that egg roll was just so incredibly tasty and flavorful. And you know, is it fair to say I had no idea it was vegan? Because I really did.
I get it all the time, though. We get it all the time.
Yeah, you know, it feels offensive to say that because I know that there's amazing, good quality food, and that's being offered, and for vegan, for those who are vegan out there, from those like me who just, you know, want to make sure we're eating healthy. So thank you so much, Chef Mac, for everything. Crystal, any last words? How we can tap in again to the City Taste of Tennis?
Yes. There are still tickets available, so just go to tasteoftennis.com to get your tickets, and hope to see you at Woodby at the City Taste of Tennis this Sunday, July 30th, from 7 to 10.
Good food, good networking, some good drinks, and I know a great time this Sunday, July 30th, 7 to 10 at Levy. I'm also just excited about eating this great food and looking at the beautiful view of the city. Oh my goodness. I am so excited about the City Taste of Tennis. Thank you to Flavorature, to AYS, and all those who've made this event possible. Thanks to City. And of course, I can't wait to get my bedazzled vase. I don't know if we can get it in the shop, but let's make sure we shout them out as well. Thank you, Miss Denise, for letting me have such a fun assignment today.
Oh no, I'm going to catch up with you. Where's Flavoriture located? We want the address.
Matt, tell us. I know it's in the Whitley Park area, but I want to give the exact location.
So we're directly in the Woodley Park area, 2609 24th Street Northwest. So we're directly a half a block away from the Woodley Park Zoo Metro, and we're half a block away from the zoo itself. So we are located with the easy accessible by Metro and by train. So 2609 24th Street Northwest.
And your hours?
The hours, we open Monday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to midnight, and then Sunday we offer a brunch from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
All right. Okay. So it sounds like, I mean, this is really like a triple whammy here. We've got the taste of city. We've got an event that we can take advantage of. We've got a restaurant we can go check out that's not going anywhere after the city is finishes, and just great opportunity, Misha, with that water.
Yes.
Glad you're drinking water. Don't know if you had anything else while you were there. I didn't know if there were any inspiring drinks.
I will. Chef Mac is sending us with some boxes, Miss Denise. So I got you.
All right. Okay, doke. Well, thank you so very much. And it was a great show. We really appreciate you all being with us. And we'll see you soon. Nice meeting you, Crystal.
I think it's a little bit of background noise, but everybody is so happy to meet you. And thank you again.
Wonderful. All righty. Take care.
Thank you.
Well, that was exciting. And that was, I'm glad you were able to join us. So Flavoriture, Chef Mac is one of the featured chefs from the DC area that's going to be a part of the Taste of City, part of the City Open tennis tournament that starts this weekend and will go on through, I guess, a week or so. So we're really glad and happy to meet him. So that's the end of Win TV, this segment. We are glad that you were with us, and we look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place, 12 noon to 1, here on your favorite channel. Sherry's saying something to me. I'm supposed to be ending, but see you later. See you next week.